Hey guys, Patrick here in Southwest Fort Worth, and I have a treat for you today. I was able to go to Mansfield and see Jason, Jadren Aquatics, see his fish room. And so I walked around with him, we talked a lot, and we got a little tour for you. This video is going to be a little different because I noticed in a lot of fish room tours, when we start going tank by tank, I kind of wonder, well, where are they in the fish room? I get lost, discombobulated. So what I'm going to do in this tour is I set up a GoPro and I'm going to put the video of where we are and just us walking around in the corner in a smaller window so that you can see where we are in the fish room, but the bigger shot will be the tank by tank. I hope you guys enjoy. So your rabbit snails don't breed very often.
Yeah, rabbit snails don't breed very often. I used to breed mystery snails like crazy. I had this specific tank at one time probably had close to 1,000 mystery snails in it.
Wow.
To the point I was having to do massive water changes every day just trying to keep it from spiking and crashing and everything else. They sold really well, but I kind of stopped messing with those, too much work.
But your praycocks are breeding.
Yeah, they're breeding every single day.
Yeah, Bozeman, I've tried to breed the praycocks, not so much. Oh, I love the red, blue Colombian Tetras.
Yeah, those are ones, one day I decided I was going to buy about 20 of about 3 different types of Tetras, and that was one of the ones that was on the list that was fairly cheap, so that's kind of why I got them.
I've bred them a few times, but not in large numbers.
I've tried a few times, but I haven't quite got the right setup for them. They're real skittish.
They don't like my breeder boxes, but if I move them, then there'll be eggs in that tank, and then I'll find fry. So, and I know another guy that breeds them, he just goes and sucks the bottom all the time, sucks the bottom out, gravel vacs the bottom, and then he'll get eggs, and that's the way he breeds them. All right. Another 40 breeder here.
Yeah, another 40 breeder here, which is kind of a mixture of stuff. It's Pristella. Tetra is another one that I bought quite a few of with that one.
You got rummies in here, some they call Dalmatian platies or something.
Yeah, I just started in the breeder program, so I've kind of been buying a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And so that's really the only reason I have those guys is to knock out the platies real fast. I'm not a huge fan of platies or swordtails. I've had them before, but
I like the red swordtails.
That's about the only reason I have them.
I got the Rio Tapa ones. They're on the cares list. The Quarries are nice in there.
Yeah, there's some albinos
nice
in there.
Plecos.
I probably got about 25 different types of plecos throughout.
How old is that Anubias? Look at that. That's a healthy Anubias.
I bought that at a show in Schumberg or something one time, and it was about that size when I bought it.
that's nice though. All right.
This tank, another just kind of mixture of stuff. It's got some Curviceps cichlids in it. I've got some Odessa barbs that I just got from Patrick that are already like tripled in size since I got them last week.
That's true. You did get them just last week.
That's the electric blue Cara that I also got from you.
Yep.
There's almost every one of these has some type of Quarries in it. These are called rust Quarries. There's also a pair of Apistogrammas in here that are Borellii. Some cherry barbs. Again, just a mixture of stuff.
And then down here, so you got some cardinals.
Yeah, I got a few cardinals. There's a random killifish in there.
Hillstream loaches.
Yeah, Hillstream loaches. Some of the fish I probably had the longest. I've had this fish for about 3 years, and I bought those guys pretty early on.
Orange laser Quarries, it looks like.
Yeah, there's only one in there right now. I pulled the other 5 out.
Looks like there's 2 actually.
Oh, is there? Okay. Well, whenever I go to catch them to move into breeding tanks, they're the most hiding fish in the world.
Now they're 2.
So 5 or 6 of them I got pulled into a breeding tank.
They're out for the video though, so you can't complain about that. Looks like your killie, and then you've got another. What type of Quarry is that?
There are Mateys in there, and orange is the only 2 that are in there.
Mateys.
Then there's 3 leopard Proclostomus, like L004s in there.
Golden Wonder killies and
I lost the female.
Sometimes they're rough on them. All right, we're gonna come back and hit this 1, 2, 3, 4 tank.
Yeah, these are all 20-gallon longs. The top tank has got a breeding trio of super reds. There's quite a few fry that's in there.
Yeah.
I think they do well up there because they don't see me that much, so they're not spooked. So whenever I go up there, the male just flees like crazy. In a lot of my tanks, you'll see a lot of Neocaridina Shrimp.
Yeah.
Just mixture colors. I got to the point where I kind of just started throwing them in different tanks. I used to keep them in specific color tanks only, but I stopped doing that. And I've noticed when I start putting them in bigger tanks, their population just explodes on me.
Everybody's always looking for shrimp, though. Speaking of,
that's exactly what this tank is. That tank is just absolutely full of all sorts of different colors.
Yeah, you get some blues and some reds.
And when I probably threw them in here, they're probably all reds.
Oh, and it looks like I just saw, you didn't get those from me, did you? I don't know. I saw the least killifish.
Oh.
Heterangia formosas.
You saw that in there?
Yeah, they're right there.
Okay, so that fish, I had no idea what it was.
That's what it is. It's the least killifish, like the 7th smallest invertebrate in the world. Live bearer, and the cool thing about it is the female will have a fry every 2 or 3 days because she has different gestation periods of fry in them. They're from the southern United States. You can find them in the wild in like Florida, and that's what that is, the Heterangia formosa. It's called least killifish. It's not really a killifish, it's a live bearer. I breed a bunch of them, yeah.
I had a friend that his house burned down, and he had a fish room.
Yeah.
And so he gave me a whole bunch of fish and a whole bunch of shrimp. So there's a few things that I haven't been able to figure out what the heck it is, and that's one of them.
Well, now you know that one. All right.
This tank's another kind of a breeding tank for Plecostomus. There's some super red albinos. Yeah. There's one longfin.
It looks like a longfin calico.
It's supposed to be in the tank below, but I've just never moved it with the rest of them, so it's kind of interbred with them a little bit. There are
flagfish too.
Yeah, Limia.
Yeah.
That's a male. I lost the females, but I got one of my subscribers that's supposed to be sending me some more.
That's cool.
And then there's quite a few different quarries in there. There's both Pygmaeus and Hasbrosa, and there's also some violet quarries, but you can't hardly ever see them.
And you got some, what are they, really Neocaridina shrimp?
Again, they were probably oranges that I put in there, and they've just interbred, and the more they interbreed, they start creating all sorts of colors and all sorts of patterns.
That's cool, though. All right, down here.
That tank is just kind of a random guppy tank. I had a bunch of guppies that bred in an outdoor tub, and I didn't know what to do with them, so I kind of just threw them all in there, so it's kind of just random. Again, there's longfin calicos in there. And there's also a really beautiful, it's a blue Pinoc Plecostomus. It looks like an L239. But again, it's one of the ones that you spend all this money on and you never see.
There's some of your longfins.
Yeah. Oh, and there's also a Weitzmanni Cory. There's probably 12 or 15 of those guys in there.
Now, I like this screen that you put up here, just kind of block the light. You know, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's based upon filming. I film in here so much, so I'm always trying to figure out how to cut down on the glare. And that's the stuff that they
like it tucked in. Or
they put it. Yeah, I usually have it out. That's the stuff that they put on the bottom of furniture. Yeah. You know, when you're looking at furniture to keep stuff from falling through. Yeah, it's super cheap at like Joann's or whatever.
And let's talk a bit about this fish room. So you got LEDs on everything. Most of the tanks are planted, if not all of them. You've got this fabric on here that is on there that's super quiet. You've got, like we were talking about earlier, you got the acrylic air stones in here that are super quiet and don't clog up that you got from Gemco. Ceramic that you got from Gemco. And how often would you say you're doing water changes for all these tanks? So
I have an automatic water system. It's based upon a drip system.
Right.
I've got a 275-gallon tote that I have to fill up every 2 days.
Okay.
So it typically does maybe 10 to 15% water change. No, probably about 5% water change every day.
Okay.
On every single one of the tanks. So overflow system set up on every single tank.
Every single tank, and then every tank is isolated, unlike my fish room. You got them all isolated.
Yeah, everything's isolated.
And it looks like you're running just a water line, and your water source is up top, and then the water line comes down?
Yeah, the tote is over there in the corner.
Okay.
And then I have a diaphragm pump that'll pump that water out. It's the type that can run dry, which that thing goes empty on me all the time, so you never want to use a pump that can't go dry. You'll burn it up. Cool. And so it just feeds it up, and then I have it sectioned off on like a manifold that goes to like 4 different sections.
Okay.
I finally got to the point where the one pump wasn't enough. I bought another pump the other day to finally get it so it was getting more water to the tanks.
We'll get into more of that later on. Looks like your Wi-Fi plugs came in.
Yes. Those are awesome, by the way.
Let's go and look at this tank over here. These guppies. These what are they called? The Japanese.
Yeah, they're blue gold. This is another one that I told you about. My friend, his channel's Papa Shrimp.
Yeah.
His house caught on fire. And so he gave me a bunch of stuff, and this is one of the things that he actually gave me. This tank was mainly for my leopard frog plecostomus. There's a couple of those guys in there.
And bamboo shrimp?
Yeah, no, those are.
No, they're not bamboo.
Gosh, now you said bamboo. I do have bamboo.
Sorry, they're a different kind of shrimp.
It's the other common shrimp.
But they're a mono?
Yeah, mono. There you go. Mono shrimp.
So which means their fry won't be viable in here because I believe
they gotta have salt.
They've got I don't know if they're called fry. Are baby shrimp called fry? I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I don't think
shrimplets?
So.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're shrimplets.
Are they really?
Yeah.
It's like something you eat.
I don't think the eggs will ever hatch.
The eggs, because
they gotta have brine. They gotta have
salt water, brackish water.
Yeah.
All right, we got some cribenzis in here.
Yeah, these are ones that I bought 6 of the regular ones and 6 of the albinos.
Yeah.
And all 12 of them were all females. So I got a few males from Patrick.
Yeah, you got some males from me.
And then a subscriber, I bought a couple of male of the albinos.
Are they breeding yet? I mean, it looks like you have a pair right here.
They act like they are, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Really? I breed mine on accident.
There's a lot of activity, but it doesn't seem to. I don't know. I don't.
It's interesting how you go from fish room to fish room too, and some people have a hard time. Like I can't breed the praycocks, right? I've had them, and I can't breed them for some reason. The cribenzis, I think I get them all out, and then I randomly have a pair, and I've got more, and I'm like, dang it, I didn't even want you to breed again, and you did.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Whenever I'm talking to people about a video and talking about water and stuff,
right?
I'm like, and I tell you, and I'm explaining how you breed something. It doesn't. It's how it breeds in my fish room.
Which may
just
be
because
totally
what I'm telling you might not work in yours because of your water. Like angelfish will just breed like maniacs in my water. But guppies, sometimes I'll get some guppies that just can't stay alive.
So that is some huge bleeding heart tetras in here. How old are they?
They're actually not that old. I didn't know they got that big when I bought them. They're less than 2 years old. But yeah, I had no idea they maxed out to that size.
So nice. And what kind of a pisto is this?
It's called an Agazzizii. I had 4 or 5 of them, but that's the last one I have left.
I like your labels on there too.
Yeah, the joy of owning your own print shop.
That's cool.
People always ask me, can I buy those? And I would have to customize them for your place. You know how long that would take? I'd have to charge you $200.
And everything's for sale, the right price. Let me pay you $200. You're going to make them some labels. All right, we got some Pinoys in here?
Yeah, those are, I think, Filipino Pinoys or Filipino Blues or something.
Blues, yeah.
I bought those as fry. I like to buy angelfish like 12 or so at a time.
Right.
And let them pair off.
Yeah.
And I had a pair that finally paired off. And I don't keep tops on my angelfish tanks, so I never have any problem. Well, of course, the male, after like the 3rd day in the tank, jumped and killed himself. So I moved the female back in here, hoping that she would pair off with somebody else.
I see these calicos, and they look great.
Yeah.
And then we've got some colorful tail of something in that cave.
That is a 3-beacon Pleco. Another beautiful Pleco that you never see. Yeah, you see his tail.
It's interesting, too, because I've seen some of these Pleco breeders who breed a lot of these and zebra Plecos and stuff, but they always keep their tanks dark.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't see them anyway. Yet they're breeding them, but it's like, man, you breed them for a glimpse of them. All right, look at these angels.
These guys are wild-caught Peruvian ones. Actually, another guy that's a subscriber to my channel that lives local that comes by a lot, he bought them and gave them to me because he wanted me to get them to pair off and breed, and then when he ever had room, he would take the fry from me.
I think I got 2 at an auction. The only way I can tell them is from those like freckles from my silvers.
Oh, yeah.
But looks like you got some other green spot Pleco or...
Yeah, there's some L200s that are phantoms. I have one in the same guy that I just told you about.
Yeah.
This weekend, he bought me 3 more because he wanted me to see if I can pair off and breed.
So
the ones he got are too small right now.
Why the lava rock in this tank?
I'm always trying to make every tank look different.
Okay.
And I have no artistic ability whatsoever. I suck at aquascaping. If you see a tank that looks good, I literally threw the plants in there.
I mean, the lava rock, it's great for filtration and stuff. I have it in my grow bed, but I really didn't think about putting it in the tank.
I just did it to look something look different.
I like it contrasting the blue background. That's cool.
No other reason but that.
No other reason. Okay.
Nope.
I was just wondering if it was like,
cheap rock. I figured, hey, I'll try it. I got a lot of tanks.
Because I could think up in here with these rocks, maybe these cichlids are breeding in these rocks or something.
Yeah, these are Tomatochromis temporalis. They are, people call them shell dwellers, but they're not shell dwellers. They're shell brooders. So they'll have their babies in the shell, but they don't stay in the shells. They pretty much just kind of stay out all the time. And don't ask me why some of them are black and some of them are white. It doesn't mean male or female. I haven't found anybody else that can quite tell me.
I like how they flare up and go at it. You know,
I'm not a big cichlid fan because I'm not into aggression.
Like, to me, they got an ugly mug. They're an interesting fish. They look like these fish that get really big. You know, it's like a saltwater fish. I can't think of the name. I'm just looking at their heads.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife comes in here and just laughs at them because she thinks they look so stupid.
That's part of the charm. Look at a pug anytime you see one. All right. I just made some haters right there.
So this entire rack right here, I'm actually changing this over. This is a never-ending, evolving fish room. I constantly am changing things. This used to be all 18 of these tanks were all Caridina shrimp. I have some of them that are just blowing up in populations, and then I have some that just disappear. And it makes no sense when it's a tank side by side, all set up the same. So Caridina shrimp can be extremely aggravating.
So let me ask you this, because they're Caridina shrimp, you've got to have some softer water with these guys.
Yes, correct.
All right.
All the water that's in here is RO water.
So are you doing an automatic water change on this system right here?
No.
Okay.
This one used to have an automatic water change, so I can set it right back up real easy.
Right.
But none of these do. Caridina shrimp, you very seldomly have to do many water changes. Some people will say, yes, you do. So again, it's another one of those big arguments.
You know what? They're looking great. The matin filters look nice, and the moss subwassertang is looking good, and they're breeding. So
yeah, some are, some aren't.
Anybody who says
these two tanks are something I've just now set up.
Yeah.
There's two types of Apistogrammas in here. One of them is a McMasteri, and the other one is they're called Vieta Golds. So I'm trying to set up the best type of breeding situation that I've read about, like Ted Judy does.
Sure.
Using a lot of leaf litter and stuff. And so that's only been going about 2 or 3 days.
Are these leaves you got from your yard?
Yeah, they're all oak leaves. It's actually my daughter-in-law's dad. We were at their house for 4th of July, and I saw his tree, and I'm like, can I take some leaves?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, what?
I know, fish people are weird, the stuff they want. I got a bunch of leaves too and things. Hey, but if they eat them and it makes the water acidic like that, why not?
That's supposedly the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, you know, I've never tried the Cardinias just because, or Caridinas? Caradinas
is the way it's pronounced. I got yelled at quite a few times trying to figure it out.
I don't know. Like, I call it Bozemanai, but a lot of people call them Bosemani.
Yeah, I say Bosemani, but I have no idea.
But I think it's from the guy's name, and then you have an I at the end. And so when I've seen some other people saying it, they say Bozemanai, and I thought, okay, maybe that's how you are supposed to pronounce it. Guys in the know.
Yeah, they're a lot more difficult because you got to do RO water, then you have to remineralize the water. And then you got to put in that substrate that's down at the bottom.
What are these fry?
Okay, so those are, you'll see in a minute, I have a fry hatchery.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get them out of these containers that I have as fast as possible.
You got some different types of fry in here too.
Yeah, so those are some angelfish fry, and there's also some red-eye tetras in there.
Red-eye tetras, that's what they look like, yeah.
And so the idea is to try to get, when they get about this size that you see right now, I want to get them into a 10-gallon tank. To get them out of that smaller container.
Sure.
And then, again, I'll put a pretty heavy drip system on it, so that thing will change a lot of water. So I just set that up last night.
Okay.
Again, these Caridinas that don't have very many in them, I'm removing them, and I'm putting them in a 55-gallon, so I'm going to have like a Skittles-type Caridina tank. And then I'm going to start taking some of the smaller tanks and start using them for other type of breeding purposes.
And is this substrate the fluval stratum?
No, that's a Brightwell type. Okay. It's specifically made for shrimp.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of shrimp.
It gets your water to the exact parameters that you want them at. That's those are fancy tigers. That's some of the higher end type shrimp.
Fancy tigers.
That's one you don't see very often. It's called a blue Paracardini. It's not actually Caridina, it's a Paracardini.
Huh.
It took me almost 2 years to finally actually see them. That's just kind of a mixture of them. And some red bolts back in the back.
I think you got, is it like willow moss or something in some of these?
These tanks, I bought some weird name mosses. And I like put the things down here, so if I ever have to look to see what they are,
what moss it is?
Yeah, see what the name of it is.
I'm the same way. I'm like, moss is moss. I love all moss, but don't ask me to identify the moss.
The majority of the moss you're going to see is going to be Java moss, though.
but I love all of the moss. And some wasser tang, love that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of Sawasser tang in there also.
All right, let's go ahead. And we've got more. Ah, the cinder block rack, yes.
I had a lot of cinder block racks, but I've kind of changed that over.
Those cinder block racks.
Yeah, there's not a ton happening in here. We've just got some spotted
Not a
Quarries.
shadow panda, look at that.
There's none in there.
There's no shadow pandas?
No, about 5 of these tanks are actually empty.
The picture looks good. Shadow panda.
These guys are set up in here to breed, mixing rainwater in there, putting cold water, trying to get them to breed. These are some honey Gouramis that I'm trying to get to breed also. The males, I think, are too young to build the nest.
Your shadow pandas remind me of the ninja shrimp that I have. I've never gotten them on video. Nobody's ever seen them, but I've never caught them.
Those were blue Gouramis that I had in there a few days ago. They're gone now.
Yeah.
He built the nest, but he was just pestering the
They can be
female
mean.
to death. So I don't know if there's eggs in there or not. That one's empty.
I bred paradise fish. They're like that too. They can just be jerks.
Those two are empty. And then
No,
this.
you got something. Some shrimp in there.
Well, yeah, because shrimp end up in there, not on purpose.
Yeah, I know what that is.
These are some babies that my friend Papa Shrimp actually gave me that were like almost microscopic when he brought them to me. So those guys are growing out. And then there's some fancy tigers in there again. Those are all Caridina shrimp. This tank right here, this is my breeding Tetra tank. Tetra
breeding tank.
I bought a whole bunch of Tetras and I've just thrown them in there. They're actually, I had them in quarantine, but I'm leaving them in there for now, and I pull 4 or 5 and put them in a breeding tank, then throw them back in here.
Looks like you got a type of, is this a rainbow?
There's some rice fish in there also.
Rice fish, yes.
Yeah, Medaka rice fish. There's some white clouds.
Man, some of those rice fish look cool.
And there's some blue Danios in there also. And there's a couple of rasboras also.
And some of the smaller electric blue Acaras that I gave you.
Yeah, those I put those in quarantine in there also. And those are all Mica splendens or Goodeids.
That's the type of tank for me anyway. It's like the guilt tank. Like you want to tear it down and throw something else in there, but you also know they're on the cares list. And
well, I felt that way until I realized how much hair allergy they would eat.
Oh yeah,
I can take pieces out of my tanks that I have problems in, and they will devour the hair algae. So now they're priceless to me. I don't want to get rid of them.
I put all mine outside. Speaking of hair algae.
Yeah, this is a tank. I'll take it and I'll trim these back, and then I'll put them in here.
Yeah.
And then they'll clean them for me.
The Mica splendens.
Yeah.
You got some Apistos in here. We got some starburst endlers and other types of endlers.
Yeah. There's some black bar endlers. There's a bunch of. There's a really beautiful sunshine Pleco. He's real small right now. There's some clown Plecos in there also. Some stir-by Quarries.
And even some fry of.
Yeah, there's fry in there. It's endlers for sure.
So how long do you have? I mean, so you've got 2 LEDs. You got a lot of light on this. Like if I had this hair algae, I'd take one light off and just have one light. Mm-hmm. But you might want the hair algae, because it's not hurting the fish. It's still beneficial for the fish. How often, what's your light cycle on a tank like this?
So my light cycle is based upon when I spend time out here. My lights do not come on until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
And stay on until about 11.
Okay.
So I usually run about 8 straight hours.
8 straight hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of my tanks all have one light. This tank was looking really good and the plants were doing really, really well, so I added another light to it, and obviously created the problem that I now have but I just haven't taken the time to move it. I think there's only 2 tanks that have 2 sets of lights on them.
I had a tank in the rainwater tank that I had set up, and it was in the front room with the window. It started getting this orange hair algae, and so I stopped opening the window and I cut off. I had 3 4-hour periods of light for it. Cut off the middle one, so it was on from 6 to 10 in the morning and 6 to 10 in the evening, and that algae's just gone.
Yeah.
And the plants are looking great. So you got some puffers in here.
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 Amazon puffers in there. There's some random endlers in there. There's a really beautiful, right there in front of you, a Paracardini. There's a bunch of Schwartzy Quarries in there running around also. This is another tank where I just kind of threw the plants in, and that's what they look like now.
I guess you had rainbows Bosemai in here.
Yes, they're in a tank breeding right now.
And then we have it's not a ruby barb. What is that?
That is a fish that literally showed up as a tiny baby, and I have no idea where it came from. I thought it was an Odessa barb.
No?
Its mate jumped and killed itself, and its mate was super bright red.
Maybe, well, but that doesn't look like an Odessa barb. Doesn't look like my females. I don't know. All right. We got another rack here.
Yeah, another rack. Top 3 tanks are all Quarries that are breeding. There's orange lasers, and there's Starabi in the middle.
And they're breeding?
No,
not
the
breeding.
Starabis are.
Okay.
The orange ones, I just moved in there a week ago, so I'm working with them. The skunks on the right, I'm working with.
You're using soft water in this rack as well?
Yes, these are all.
So it's not on the water change, the automatic water change?
No, these are all. All these tanks are drilled, so again, I can easily switch them over.
Switch them over, but.
Yeah, but
You
no.
know, if you're breeding Sturby, it's probably got some softer water.
Yeah, I'm running peat moss on all those and doing rainwater water changes on them to try to get them to trigger.
Yeah.
Again, these are gonna all 9 of these tanks are all Caridina shrimp down at the bottom.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna. So we changed the wide angle to get this part of the fish room. And here, just like my fish room, it feels like this is one player.
Yeah, this is a design flaw. When I made this, I didn't realize it was going to be so tight, and I can't stand having tight spaces because of the main reason it's hard to film.
It's true.
If you're using a DLSR like I use, it doesn't leave you much room.
Mine's a bit easier, and I'm getting in here. Dang it!
You got to stand at an angle and angle the microphone at your mouth. It's just a mess.
I'm gonna come on in.
Yeah, those are the Bosemani that are breeding eggs all the time. Those are some Australian ones I just bought. I haven't got any eggs from those guys yet.
No?
No.
That's odd. Maybe they need some morning sunlight. So.
Probably need some light altogether.
I like how you have that drilled though. The
What?
overflows.
Oh yeah.
Those are cool. All right.
That's the 55-gallon Skittle tank that I was telling you about. All the Caridinas that don't have many left, I've just started throwing them in there. So there's not a tremendous amount in there. But that's the plan for that tank.
All right, and we're gonna turn from the other cinder block rack into this one.
Now this rack has got all 20-gallon longs on both sides. There's 12 of them. This has got a bunch of shocking pink Endlers in it. Some green Quarries.
And look at these guppies, beauties.
I've got 2 tanks of those. Those are my favorite ones. Those are the dragon Dumbo ears.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose them, so I started moving some into a different aquarium. Then down there, those are a similar one. Those are Dumbo ears, but they're called purple mosaics, I think is what they are.
You know what? I like these ones better. I like that blue.
Yeah, there's some of those. Those don't breed quite as true. I had to pull out 4 or 5 red ones. The dragons, I don't pull too many out. They breed a little bit different colors, but not like throwing a red all of a sudden.
You got some threadfin rainbows in here as well.
Yes, yeah. I got those tiny, and I knew I needed to feed them live brine shrimp, and I feed those guys live brine shrimp all the time, so I knew that was a tank to throw them in.
You gonna try to breed those later?
Yeah. I'm not sure if they're big enough yet. They're so small.
I think they are. Because they don't get bigger.
Yeah, I know they don't get too big, but it seems like the males usually have a lot more fancy finnage to them than...
You might just throw a mop in there and...
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
If there's eggs. If there's not...
Those are Dumbo ear albino reds. I haven't had much luck with those yet. There's a 2 or 3 fry that's in there. And again, a bunch of random Neocaridina shrimp.
Yeah.
That's kind of just more of the mutt guppy tank. There were some that had some pretty yellow kind of snakeskin patterns that I put in there. And the red ones you see in there are the ones that I pulled out of that tank that we were just in a second ago. So they're Dumbo ear red somethings now.
I love the 20 long footprints. They're
they work really, really well. That's got some shell dwellers in it. You have to look at the label. It's punctatus or something.
Neolamprologus caudopunctatus.
There you go. I suck at scientific names.
Bless me. Some of these cichlid names, though, really
Yeah, they're. Can we just give some common names already, please?
I don't know if we charge more by the syllable or what.
Those are actual shell dwellers. Again, that's some that I got from my friend whose house burned.
Ooh.
I really like those, so I kind of want to move them. I just don't know where.
And while we're here, let's take a look at this plumbing that you got. So you drilled all these tanks yourself.
Yep.
You got a dripping in, and then you have just the overflows that go into your drain on the bottom.
Yep.
And then it all goes into a bin, just a Rubbermaid with a sump pump.
Yep, it's all gravity fed into the sump pump. The sump pump has 2 outlets on it. One of them shoots out the door, and there's actually a doggy door, so I have a little sprinkler system set up that'll spew that and water the yard. And then the other one is like a second overflow that goes out the front.
Very cool.
That way I don't ever have to worry about it both clogging. Well, I guess you could worry about it, but it's never happened.
No, and I don't know, just automatic water change systems are... When you have this many tanks,
I know
it's the
myself.
way to go.
It's why I don't have any aquariums in my house, because I know myself.
Yeah.
I suck at water changes. I just cannot, get myself to do them enough.
All right, so your Tetra breeding setups.
Yeah, these are just the breeding setups. Those are ones I just put in there yesterday. Those are some type of Rasbora, Hingeli, I think, Rasboras.
All right, so tell me honestly, because it happens to me all the time, where my Tetras, if I'm floating a basket or something, they'll get out. Or if I've got some grid system like that, eventually I'll have one that's down there. I'm like, how'd you even get down there? Do yours, do yours get down there?
I've only been doing it this way for 3 weeks, and it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, good.
The second one, I just removed a bunch of glow Tetras. There's a whole bunch of eggs down there. I've got to get the eggs removed.
Oh,
I don't like hatching them out in the tank.
You know what? I just asked you about that, and you know what I see down here?
What, was there one down there?
There is.
Down there eating all my eggs?
I don't know, he might be, but he's over there.
I just caught him earlier. I may have scared him in there then.
That rascally rabbit.
It's not a super tight fit, so if they really wanted to get down there, they could. There's some bleeding hearts I just put in there yesterday too that haven't spawned.
What fun though.
That's
and you're using rainwater
100%
with these,
rainwater
100% rainwater in these
Yep.
things. Where'd you get that rainwater?
I don't know. Good guy.
All right, so we got 620s, no, 420s in the breeder rack, 620s, but you got the breeder system.
Yeah, fry system down at the
Fry
bottom.
system.
Those, I can't even remember what they're called. There's some higher end guppy that I bought that they're kind of cool looking, but they kind of look like some of the more common ones.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really look like a high end guppy that much to me. Pineapple or something, I don't remember.
Whereas these Dumbo Super Dragon guppies.
Yeah, the Dumbo Super Dragon.
Dumbo Super Dragon. Like
that's what everyone seems to love.
They come with powers or something. I don't know. They are a cool guppy. They are. But you've got some variation with them too. I mean, some are darker than some.
Most of the ones
red.
you see with the black fins are females.
Okay.
The females seem to come out black. The females, when I first got them, look like that one. It's black, but it's got a whole lot of pattern to it. That's how they originally looked. This is your tank now.
Sorry, cut off.
But that's literally, that's with no culling.
And note the guppies picking on the green beans too.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how many of the fish will eat the green beans? Like, I don't know if anything doesn't eat it.
This is my trip to the river yesterday.
Yeah.
I decided I want to try to breed some smaller type native fish. So there's a bunch of different types of minnows in here.
So you caught this in the river yesterday?
Yes.
Look at that. That is a cool looking fish.
Yeah, that one's beautiful. I had some other some red shiners that were beautiful.
Yeah.
And all of them died on the way home.
Yeah, and some of those are just so, it seems like they're so sensitive.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, this isn't quality water, you know, like the creek by my house or something.
Yeah.
But it's quality enough for them to live and breed, and you try to remove them.
And there's probably 6 or 8 Gambusia in there also.
Yeah.
I got those just to get the breeding points for them. They're not a whole lot to look at. This is a breeding pair that I just set up today of some pearl gouramis. That's why the water level's low.
Yeah, for them.
Trying to get those guys to breed.
Now, I know with the bettas and some of the other gouramis, I'll get a styrofoam cup and cut it in half.
Yeah.
Put it in there. You ever try that with the pearl gouramis?
No, I haven't, because I haven't had trouble with them getting to build a nest yet.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, I'll try just by itself.
Yeah.
And then start trying to do all the different other ways that people try to get them to go.
But they've already habitually built nests and stuff?
These guys haven't, because I literally just put them in there. I just put them in
before when they were?
I put them in today. No. I bought this pair a week and a half ago.
Gotcha. All right, tell us about your.
All right, so this is a fry hatching rack and grow out basically. I've now got 2 different 20-gallon longs. There is a pump that's pumping water out and then dripping down into every one of the containers, so it's sort of water changing all the time.
Which is kind of what you see Dean.
This is where I got the idea.
Yeah.
This is Dean's thing. I've got a video explains how this whole thing's built because people are always interested in knowing how it's built. But
you just got these little things from like Home Depot or something?
I had to order them online. I haven't been able to find them anywhere locally.
Okay.
It's like a thing that's made to go into a refrigerator to put like Cokes and stuff in. Yeah. Is what it's designed for. And then I have to cut a hole in the back so that it overflows out and you got to put a sponge in there. And so that's the way it works. And then I have almost no heaters in my room because I heat my room or cool my room.
Yours is a lot cooler than mine. Mine's a sauna. Yours is nice.
Yeah, I keep it about 80 in here.
And do you heat in the individual tanks like where your stir-by are?
No, I haven't. Those because I keep them up on the top, and the tanks will get about 81 degrees on the top row. But I do heat these. I try to keep these around 80 or 81. For the most part, so that's why these have heaters on them. They've got a controller on them.
So you keep, this room is comfortable right now. What'd you say the temperature is in this room?
It's about 80.
Is it 80? Mm-hmm. Feels cooler.
Well, if you feel it, it's up here, it's 70, no wait, up here it's usually about 80, and then down by your feet it's usually about 77.
Now we're right here, this is a Texas summer, so you're definitely running some type of AC in here to keep it cooler. Mm-hmm. But you have that set to about 80?
Yeah, that's what that running right there is. I have it set on 80 right now. Okay. It's also a dehumidifier.
Gotcha.
So it pulls a whole lot of water out of the air. I don't have any humidity problems, but I come out here a lot and I'll open the door to the house and leave it open the whole time I'm out here. So I never really run into any kind of humidity problems.
That's great. You got your breeding angels.
Yeah, I've got 4 different pairs of breeding angels, the blacks and the platinums and the kois. These guys lay eggs probably about every 11 to 14 days. And then of course I pull the eggs because they eat them every single time.
Mine do the same thing.
And that's the reason that I originally set up this fry hatchery is to get the eggs and be able to handle them better.
All right. We got...
Yeah, this is more kind of random stuff. These are some lime green endlers, and there's some other type of black bar endlers.
Red grass metalhead.
Yeah, these are some guppies that I kind of had at first that didn't do that well, but have kind of started to breed again.
I just like their name.
That look kind of cool, so I've kind of tried to keep those going.
I feel like you need to play some rock over here with them.
These are all 20-gallon longs, but man, do not set up a 20-gallon long going this direction.
No.
It's just a nightmare. Trying to catch a fish. It's just...
Oh, I can imagine.
You just get caught up when you have a fish room. You're like, I got to get into the aquarium. How can I get the most aquariums in?
Yes, most water.
And then you start doing dumb stuff. You make the distance between 2 tanks, top to bottom, where you can't get your hand or a net in.
And you either admit you did it wrong, or you reason it out and you live with it.
That's some more starburst endlers, and there's some long fins.
Some more your Tetras.
Those I just bought today.
Barbs, rather.
Yeah, I bought 3 or 4 barbs, again, just to get those breeding.
I like these guppies. These are cool.
Yeah, those I bought as turquoise. If you see the label down there at the bottom, you can see they used to be completely blue.
Right.
And when they started breeding, they started coming out with that red fin, which to me looks cooler.
I like that, yeah.
So
that is cool.
Those guys are now on my
read those in numbers.
My brine shrimp baby.
Yeah, because those are cool. So here's your 275-gallon tote.
Yep.
That you fill up every 2 days. And you pump the water out of here.
Yep.
Drip system into all the other tanks.
Yep.
Right. Here's your I like your brine shrimp set up here.
That's a Dean special too.
Look at that.
That's where I learned how to make those.
I do something different, but that's cool.
That's my 4th one I've had. That's you know how it is. You try something like this sucks. I'm moving on.
Yep.
And so that's what I'm finally set up with. I've had that probably 9 months, and it.
But I've got mine. Like mine is vigorously aerating, because I read this article in Tropical Fish Hobbyist about how to. The best method. In fact, it was a Mike Helwig and who's the other one? The guy who does a bunch of rainbows and stuff.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
They co-wrote this article though.
And me a second.
They were talking about just vigorously aerating your brine shrimp stuff. And so I was like, okay, well, they know what they're talking about, so I'm going to do it.
I've seen a lot of that stuff, but mine hatch within 24 hours, and I feed them all off.
Yeah.
And I get at least about a 90% hatch rate. So I don't do anything other than just salt, water, and brine shrimp.
Yeah.
I used to throw baking soda and stuff in there, but I
probably
just
don't have to with your water.
Yeah,
here.
I just don't. I don't.
You're doing tap
there's,
water.
There's not really a reason to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I even do 3 drops of chlorine. Right as I start it so that it can go on any of those eggs, cysts, shells, and just any bacteria or anything, it'll clean it off.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the time they hatch, that is already that chlorine is gone from the bleach. All right. Well, I think we've covered the fish room.
I think we have.
I like how your plugs are up high. Your air's coming down. And I guess your water line it's smaller.
It's all 1/4 inch, like. No, it's this right here. It's this 1/4 inch, like ice maker.
The ice maker line.
Yeah, that's what. That's the only line that's used in the water.
Gotcha.
That diaphragm pump, that's what it's built for.
Yeah.
That's the inlets that and outlets that it has on it. And those are so easy to use because of the connectors.
Yeah, they are.
Just snap in and unsnap. So it's so easy to take something apart and extend it and put it back together.
Very cool. All right, I guess we'll go ahead and as we're going out, we'll look at this camera. And if you guys like this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to have Jason's channel. And if you're not already subscribed to him, which you probably should be, then definitely subscribe to his channel. Thank you guys for coming with us and looking at Jason's fish room.
Thanks, guys.